So don't, unless it is.
Everyone, it is 4:01 on April 30th. This is the Ann Arbor Commission on Disability Issues meeting on April 30th here. Just to remind everyone, this meeting will be broadcast live on CTN Cable Channel 16, ATT Channel 99, and online at a2gov.org/watchctn. For any of the viewers to speak at public comment, please call toll free at 877-853-5247 or 888-788-0099 and enter meeting ID 919-8673-1455. So this meeting is called to order. Up next, I would like us to do roll call. When Kennedy calls on you, please state your name, your position, and where you're coming from today.
Chair Damon?
Hello, yes, everyone. Good afternoon. This is Zach Damon, Chairman of the Ann Arbor Commission on Disability Issues, coming to you from Ann Arbor, Michigan, Washtenaw County.
Thank you. Vice Chair Keeler?
This is Vice Chair Keeler coming to you from my recliner in Ward 5, Ann Arbor, Michigan.
Thank you. Commissioner Solomon?
Matthew Solomon, Ann Arbor, Michigan, Commissioner.
Thank you. Commissioner Packard?
Yes, Rob Packard coming to you from Ann Arbor.
Thank you. Commissioner Conrad?
Annika Conrad, Commissioner, Ann Arbor, Michigan.
Thank you. Commissioner Chambers? Commissioner Buis? Commissioner Mozak?
Yes, apologies for being late. Kathleen Mozak calling in from Ann Arbor, Michigan.
Thank you. Commissioner Hawkins? Commissioner Gossage? Commissioner Radcliffe? Councilmember Gatsiewicz? Okay, that's everyone. You're on mute, Zach.
All right. Thank you, Kennedy. I appreciate that. Next, we're going on to public comment. Is there any public comment this afternoon?
At this time, we have no one on the call for public comment.
Okay, thank you, Kennedy. Moving on, we have the approval of today's agenda. Everyone should have received an electronic copy of today's agenda ahead of the meeting today. And by the way, I just wanted to say I'm glad we don't have a national Zoom outage to keep us from doing business. Thank you to everyone for shifting our meeting to today, by the way. But I would like to open it up to the floor if there is anyone who would like to move to approve today's agenda.
This is Kathleen. I'll
I'll
move
move.
to approve.
Thank you,
I'll
Kathleen.
second.
All right, Vice Chairman Keeler seconds. All in favor of approving today's agenda, please unmute and say aye.
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 Okay. The agenda is approved. Moving on to the approval of the meeting minutes from March 19th, 2025. Again, the meeting minutes should be viewable within our agenda here as well. So if there is a motion to approve the meeting minutes, please mention so now.
I'll move to approve the minutes.
All right, Larry moves to approve. I will second. All in favor of approving the meeting minutes from March 19th, please unmute and say aye.
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 Thank you. The meeting minutes are approved. Next, we move on to the City of Ann Arbor personnel reports with Kennedy Cummings. Kennedy, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. I hope you all are doing well. Again, as Zach stated earlier, thank you guys so much about scheduling the commission meeting. I'm glad we were able to have it still this month due to the outage that happened a couple weeks ago. Just a pretty brief update. If you have submitted your reappointment application, you are all set. We are currently waiting for our council liaisons to review reappointment. So if you get an alert or an email about, oh, you haven't, your term is almost up, just ignore that. They are in the review process. So right now, that is all I have, and I think that's it.
You know I got mine.
Yes, Larry, I know you got yours.
All right. Thank you, Kennedy, for that report. Next, if they are on here, not exactly sure. We have the city council update. Is Councilmember Ghazi Edwin on at this time?
She is not.
Okay. So we'll go ahead and move forward then to the special presentation portion of our meeting this afternoon. So our first presentation today is actually representatives from the Comprehensive Land Use Plan. And I'm very excited to welcome Michelle and everyone to present on this particular plan. From my knowledge, they were actually seeking accessibility input on this particular plan. So everyone, thank you so much for joining us, and the floor is yours.
Hi all, can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
I'm sorry if there's quite a bit of background noise. I'm at a library event for the comprehensive plan, and I've tried to sneak away to a quiet section. So please let me know at any time if it's not working. I can try to call in maybe on my phone. Thank you all for having me this afternoon. Tracy is also here from the city to help me out with this in terms of taking notes, making sure that we record your input. So I guess I will share my screen. What I'm looking for today is for me to show you the plan and then get some feedback on what makes this inaccessible for someone with low vision or other disabilities that I might not be aware of. We did not have in our original RFP for this to be screen reader friendly, and that was originally how this was brought to our attention. So that option, we're still looking into if that's possible for the final draft, but in the interim, because that's still several months away, we'd like to figure out an interim option for our next round of edits to make this more readable. So let me go ahead and share, and then hopefully we can get some of your feedback here. So sorry, this is the page that I'm most commonly on, but I can bring it. We can talk about maybe just the structure. We can look just through one chapter because they're all set up the same. And so any feedback you give me on one chapter, I can apply to the others. But so here's an example of how one section would start. So I guess I'm looking for feedback on fonts, color, formatting, any thoughts that you can share with me would be informative.
Commissioner Mozak?
Hi, yeah. The first thing that snaps out to me is the contrast on the large picture where you have the dark words over white, but it's also over the green. And that is, I'm not, so I have glasses. I'm not blind or considered legally blind, but just even as someone who has minor vision problems, I find that very difficult to read.
And specifically, just so I heard you correctly, it's the black against the green, the black font against the green background.
Right, because what you're doing is it's also against the white, and so you have to navigate the word over two different backgrounds. So Ann Arbor would be better for all is not only against the green, but you have white underlining going through the words, and that makes it very challenging to navigate.
Okay, so the comment is also to remove the underlining.
Yeah, or the other option would be if you wanted to not have it to be underlined, but make that a white box so that it's black words font against a white box, but leave the rest of your green there. That might be acceptable, but the way it is now is very challenging.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Solomon?
My question is about that exact quotation, that epigraph with which you're beginning. Just because when I read that, I don't find myself in agreement with that. So is that something that we're able to discuss at this context?
We've actually already asked the consultants to remove all of the quotes. These quotes were pulled from individuals who participated in our different engagement sessions. So this is one of our residents' opinions, but I think we feel that we don't want to go through picking and choosing which ones to include in the plan. So we've asked them to be removed.
Yeah, I'm glad that's being done because I think we can't put things in here where there's not necessarily consensus.
Well, there's not going to be 100% consensus on this plan. It's widespreading across the whole city. So that's why I think we want to remove ourselves from that, but from the quotes. So yeah, thank you.
Commissioner Conrad?
Hi, yeah, thanks for seeking feedback on the accessibility of your project. I'm the one who maybe originally brought your attention to the concern because I am legally blind and opened up the draft and was like, oh, I can't access any of this. Not only because it's not screen reader accessible, but because the information is presented in a highly visual way. So there's like, a lot of graphics and things. But, there's two ways that you can approach this. So sometimes we reach accessibility by providing multiple formats. And so we got kind of that plain text version from you for this meeting. I read that. I thought it was great. Felt like at least I think I got all the same content. So you can approach it that way. The other approach would be to ensure that you're designing it, as you're saying, maybe with like higher contrast colors, using alt text for any images or graphics, and ensuring that the text can actually be selected and read by a screen reader. So, there's just two different ways to think about going about it.
Okay, thank you. So the text version that we provided was readable for you with a screen reader and without? Or only with
Yes,
the
it was readable with a screen reader. Yeah. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
assuming that I can get all the same information by just reading the text.
Well, so that's part of the problem is it is a highly graphic plan. So you are only getting the text, which should be, I suppose, just supported by graphics, right? So you would get all the information, but you're missing all of the maps and the other things in the meantime. But is that an okay interim step for now, or?
I would say, yeah, but I think
Okay.
that what's missing then is you would want to describe anything that's represented through maps or graphics. So describe it like with words in text. That would be
I would,
a way to cover what's missing.
Okay.
I would agree with that because I have no vision, so I would agree with it, with that.
Okay. I can keep scrolling here if that's helpful. If there's things you notice on other pages as well.
Commissioner Solomon?
This is, I guess, a similar question, which is our input actually being requested on the plan itself or simply on the visual presentation of the plan? Because this feels like, are we just brought in at the last minute to approve something where our consultation has not actually been solicited? This has
Well, we're not
unfortunately been
asking
a
you to
pattern.
approve anything.
It's not even approval. Was the disability community included in the research process leading to this document?
Well, I sent out when this draft was initially came out in March, I sent it to all of the commissions to review and said that anyone who would like me to come to their meetings, that I'm happy to come and talk to you about it. I started in the planning department in October. I can ask if staff reached out earlier, but I don't have that information right now. And so today my request is primarily on how to make it more accessible, but if you all want us to come back, my offer still stands to discuss the content of the plan as well.
And Michelle, I just want to say that, I do remember having an opportunity to do that. I just wasn't sure what feedback was given at that time. But thank you for your openness to be willing to adjust if needed.
Sure.
Commissioner Mozak?
I think my comment is the same as the graphic beforehand. So you have objective box, which is very pretty. It's on a yellow background, but you have light blue wording. That's a very challenging contrast. I think that I can see what you're trying to do. You're trying to create apparently like some sort of like visual interest and differentiation, but that light blue against that yellow is very challenging. So something like a black against the yellow might be better, but I would also defer to by other commissioners who may have different site objectives. But I am struggling to even look at the font. Like right now, I would have to enlarge it because I can't even read the sentences because they're light blue against the yellow.
Okay.
If I can add, and very good point with low vision. There's such an array of what we can and can't see, and with my condition, LHON, it's a optic nerve, but it's I see blue quite well, and so that's like I can see blue skies, and so that's a color that works for me. I don't know if it's possible to make that the viewer be able to choose the color that works best, but that's just one thing that, like when we go to a group conferences, everything's blue all around. They use that color a lot. So different low visions have different colors, I think, that work better than others. I'm not sure if there's one that's overall best, but like a dark bright blue is what is my individual vote, but I don't know what the group colors are that works overall. But Is it possible to do, allow a viewer to choose what color and make that a choice? Kind of like on, that's probably not possible, but I just thought I'd add that in there.
I guess I'm exposing a lot of my ignorance on this topic of what the best color is. I would take your all's guidance in that. I think the standard is typically black. If we change the objectives box to be black font, would that be helpful?
This is Commissioner Conrad. There are people whose profession is to work on this stuff like this, digital accessibility. I would imagine the city has somebody that you could consult with, because, I don't think you can't really design a document for a particular, subset of the disability community, but there are like best practices that you can follow. And I would imagine there's someone in the city who can provide that expertise.
Tracy, did you want to comment?
Yes, thank you so much. And I agree with every comment that has been made. Actually, I'm looking at my notes that I've already made, and it's been exactly the same comments that you made. And I apologize, I did not introduce myself. This is Tracy, the Accessibility Coordinator for the city, working in the OOE office, or the Office of Organizational Equity. And for color contrast, actually, there is a standard, excuse me, for standard type size text, the color contrast should be at least 4.5 to 1, meaning like black print on white, or white print against a dark background. And Michelle, that is something that we can discuss, and how to do that as well. So I've also made, I just want to make sure that I've made some font type recommendations to use like a particular type of font, the non-serif fonts. A minimum print is 11 points, which is actually what we're viewing right now on the screen, but it's recommended for a 16 point. Now that's going to make it for a very large document, so somewhere in between to make it readable. So I just wanted to let you know that before I ramble on and on, there are ways that you can look at color contrast pretty simply.
Thank you, Tracy. I really appreciate that input. And, again, Michelle, I appreciate just the willingness to hear the commission's feedback on what makes this particular document more accessible. Are there any other comments from the commission at this time? Michelle, is this the end of the document?
I don't think it is, Zach.
No, there's 68 spreads, or about 140 pages, but like I said, the chapter format is repeated over and over, so we really just could get through one chapter, and I could get most of your feedback, but I'm mainly hearing font size, font color, and contrast are important. And then if we have a text document to describe the graphics or the maps, you can see there's tons of maps, as in most planning documents, because we work, with spatial data. So I would also say, if you all want to continue to look at this, you can send us feedback. And I'll work with Tracy on this. Our remaining budget is very tight, so we're trying to see if the consultants can do this, but we might have to hire someone afterwards to make this screen reader friendly if we can. So those are some of the options in front of us: is have an interim option, work with Tracy, see what we can do, maybe hire someone else, maybe see if our consultants can help update this. I can certainly do the things that you've asked today, but to make it 100% compliant with all the best standards and screen reader, I have to look into that more.
Sure. Thank you, Michelle. I do appreciate that transparency. And, if any of our commissioners have, leads or connections or resources that could help within this process, please don't hesitate to send that information our way. so that that can be then forwarded to Michelle and Tracy and the team working with this. Tracy, go ahead.
Yes, Tracy here again. Thank you so much, Zach. I also wanted to give a plug because I believe Commissioner Solomon, you had asked about input from the disability community. And while Michelle has so graciously said, of course, she'll come back, I also wanted to give a plug about again, I know it's quite late this evening, but up until 7 o'clock this evening, Michelle, you are at the Malletts Creek Library for public input. And then is the next time like May 6th or 7th?
7th at the Traverwood Branch Library from 3 to 7 p.m.
Yeah, and you know, I would also recommend the Planning Commission meets, is it bi-weekly now or weekly, to discuss this. All of their meetings are also online. You can come in person, you can view via Zoom, just like we do our CODI meetings, for also input. So as you are perusing through the document that is in front of us, or if you're looking at the reviewing from the plain text that was sent out and have commission or have questions, please feel free to join also in those meetings. Would that be correct, Michelle, for public engagement of that?
Yes, I can send also the link to our website where all of the Planning Commission meetings that are geared towards this topic are posted. The draft is available there. Other information is available there, as well as our engagement dates. So I'm at one right now. The next one's May 7th. And after that, you'd have to continue through the Planning Commission unless we plan another event.
And with that, I just want to also state, I believe it was said, but if you do have any additional questions or comments that you would like to add to the list that we've had today, feel free to email those directly to me or to Laura Orta, and we can get those all compiled and send them on to Michelle.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, everyone, and thank you, Michelle. I really appreciate the time and the thought and the effort put in into, again, making this document accessible. And you know, I did want to point out too again that this was sent to our commission for pre-review. I did see it, but I just want to point out that you know, because I'm not in the visually impaired sector, you know, I didn't have perspective on that. So I had reviewed some of it, but there really wasn't, I thought, you know, adequate feedback for me to give in terms of the visual of it or of the content, because I didn't necessarily disagree with any of the content, but it was interesting. One of our commissioners had talked about the quotations. But I just want to thank all of you commissioners for just being attentive during this process and bringing up some very good points. Thank you. All right. Next, we have the Washtenaw Library for the Blind and Print Disabled with Katie. Welcome, Katie.
Hi there. Hi, everybody. I'm going to tell you about some upcoming events at the library. I want to first apologize because we have a really exciting upcoming event that I want to talk about that I did not include on the notes that I sent prior to the meeting, but it's very exciting. In partnership with the Disability Network Washtenaw Monroe Livingston, we're hosting a device accessibility overview. This is going to be at our Westgate branch on May 5th. That's a Monday from 10 to 12 p.m. Staff from Disability Network Washtenaw Monroe Livingston will discuss what is meant by assistive or accessible technology, settings, apps, and devices to adapt your technology by category of impairment, whether it's hearing, vision, cognitive, or motor or physical, and resources to learn more and obtain those assistive technologies. We're going to be providing a live stream of this event, and we are intending to make it available for future viewing on our YouTube page. So the link to that, the video there is going to appear on our event page about an hour before that event. So we're really excited about that. And we've got a couple of other events in months coming that I'll talk about in the future that are also in partnership with Disability Network. So that's really exciting to me. And I'll be hosting those ones. So that'll be fun. We also have an author event coming up on Friday, May 9th at 6:30 at the Downtown Library with Nico Lang, who's going to be discussing how trans kids are surviving hate and finding joy in a turbulent era. For their groundbreaking new book, journalist Nico Lang spent a year traveling the country to document the lives of transgender, non-binary, and gender-fluid teens and their families. Drawing on hundreds of hours of on-the-ground interviews with them and the people in their communities, American Teenager paints a vivid portrait of what it's actually like to grow up trans today. From the tip of Florida's conservative panhandle to vibrant queer communities in California, and from Texas churches to mosques in Illinois, American Teenager gives readers a window into the lives of 8 teens who, despite what some lawmakers might want us to believe, are truly just kids looking for a brighter future. And this event is in partnership with Literati Bookstore and includes a signing with books for sale. We're also having an event called Preventing Fraud, Abuse, and Scams with AARP. That's on Monday, May 12th from 2 to 3:30 p.m. at the Mallets Creek branch. You can join us for an informative session designed to empower seniors with the tools and knowledge to protect themselves against fraud, abuse, and scams. This presentation will cover common tactics used by scammers, warning signs to watch for, and practical steps to safeguard your finances and personal information. Led by expert speakers, this event is a valuable opportunity to stay informed and secure in an increasingly complex digital and financial landscape. And we also have the Washtenaw Bird and Nature Alliance Black Birders Week, its origins and why it's important. That's on Wednesday, May 21st at 6 p.m. at the Downtown Library. Black Birders Week is a week-long celebration at the end of May that started only a few years ago. However, many folks are unaware of the event and its origins. At this presentation, Victor Chen and Brandon Freeman will discuss some of the history of Black Birders Week and the significance of the event to helping diversity in the outdoors. We will talk about some of the events WBNA has going on during Black Birders Week in 2025 and how folks can get involved in person and through social media. Now I'll talk about some materials, and as usual, Washtenaw Library for the Blind and Print Disabled patrons can always order materials on digital cartridge or otherwise by calling us at 734-327-4224, or you can email us at wlbpd@aadl.org. We're encouraging folks to sign up for the Braille and audio reading service called Bard. You can download your own books, no waiting. You can sign up on the Bard website or call us and we can assist you with your application. Here are a couple of books that have been newly added to Bard. When Everyone Leads, How Tough Challenges Get Seen and Solved by Ed O'Malley and Julia Fabrice McBride. Leadership is not about position or authority. It's not about big speeches or grand visions. Leadership is engaging others to solve daunting challenges. Those challenges appear in our professional lives, in our communities, our families, and they seem unsolvable, beyond our ability to see what needs to be done or outside of our capacity to make the changes needed. They are not. Leadership is an activity, small actions taken in moments of opportunity. As you start to look around, you learn to see more of those moments and seize the opportunity in those moments. Most importantly, you can help others see those opportunities too. That's why everyone can lead, and the real power to solve our most important challenges is when everyone leads. And we've got Intertwined, From Insects to Icebergs by Michael Gross. In nature, everything is connected, from microscopic bacteria and soaring trees to animals struggling for survival amid thriving humanity. Yet many of today's toughest problems, from environmental destruction to divisive politics, stem from fundamental disconnections. In Intertwined, Michael Gross explains how the natural world can be a powerful reminder of our interdependence. Using examples based on recent scientific discoveries across a broad range of ecosystems and species, Gross shares important and often surprising stories about the sophisticated web of connections in nature. From plant cooperation to turtle communication, he highlights crucial lessons we can apply to solve complex problems caused by human disturbances to these connections. Gross provides ample evidence of the far-reaching impacts of both natural and anthropogenic, sorry guys, anthropogenic, there we go, phenomena from coevolution and nutrient cycles to species domestication and extinction. And that is all I have for you today.
Talk about a tough one. Thank you, Katie.
Every once in a while, there's a word that I practice a couple times and it just doesn't matter. So, anyone have any questions or comments? For me?
I have a comment. Pardon me.
Sure.
I didn't mean to interrupt.
Oh, no problem.
But yeah, Katie, do you mind? Could you? Because I got the synopsis of that leadership book, but do you mind saying the title again, please?
Yes, absolutely. I will. It's called When Everyone Leads: How Tough Challenges Get Seen and Solved. It's by Ed O'Malley and Julia Fabrice McBride.
Got it. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Any other questions for Katie and the library? You guys, they're doing some amazing, amazing things. And of course, so excited coming up, guys. It's going to be May soon. And then before we know it, Visions is going to be here. But very exciting, and definitely exciting for that May 5th event as well. Very informative with the Disability Network talking about what accessibility technology is. I think that's going to be very neat as well. Are you going to have, Katie, technology on display as well while they're talking about those definitions or what those descriptions are?
You know what? I'm not 100% sure of that. This is our first time running it, so I haven't actually seen it yet. So I know we do have a couple of presenters, so it wouldn't surprise me, but I don't want to say 100%. But thank you also for mentioning Visions. That will be on June 4th, 11 to 4 p.m. And I'll be highlighting like exactly what's going to be going on that day at our next meeting. So, but you can always check out the details at aadl.org/visions as well.
Absolutely.
And I'll be there.
Just so many great things. Go ahead, Larry. Sorry.
I just said I'll be there.
That's great.
I'll miss the tech thing. I was thinking about that. I'm like, oh no, I got a meeting. I'll miss that tech thing on Monday, but I'll be there for the Vision.
Great.
All right, wonderful. Yeah, well, I will touch base with the commission to just make sure we have everything, for our table prior to that event and all that good stuff. But always a great event, you guys. I hope everyone can stop by Visions in June, but attend some great events at the library with Katie and everyone and her staff in between there as well. Always a very welcoming environment at the downtown library or any branch. And you guys, knowledge is power. Books are great things. So thank you so much, Katie.
You're welcome. You all have a great day.
All right. Bye-bye. Okay. Next, we have the Disability Network Washtenaw-Monroe Livingston Report with Andrea Henry. Andrea, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. I just have one quick thing I want to plug again now that we're ramping into the warm weather, and that is our ADA celebration on Saturday, July 26th at the Ann Arbor office of Disability Network. It is from noon to 5. Free food, free games, speakers, community partners, hopefully good weather, all that good jazz. So please come join us. Yeah, and that's really all I have for the commission today.
No problem. Thank you, Andrea. And yes, everyone, please, on this call, mark your calendars for July 25th. No pressure, of course, but I'm hoping our commission can come out and show great support, you guys. I mean, they did the tie dynamite celebration last year with tie-dye shirts and all that kind of thing. It was a very fun, wonderful event, wonderful food as well. I don't want Andrea to give away what the theme will be for this year, but I have no doubt that it'll be very, very great. So hopefully we can all come together. And I did remember seeing some commissioners there last year and really appreciated that. But hopefully all of us can come and enjoy it.
I just wanted to.
And
back
some
you
of
up.
us got you.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead, Rob.
I just wanted to say I went to the one 2 years ago, and it was a really great, powerful event. Very memorable. A lot to get out of that, and it was very inspiring. And I absolutely will be there if at all possible. Did you say July 25th or 26th? And if you want to say the address for anyone who wants to make sure they can get over there. Just putting in a plug and backing you all up that it is definitely one to mark your calendars for. Absolutely, Zach.
Sure. Andrea, could you just, do you mind clarifying? I had the 25th. Is it July 25th or is it the 26th?
It is July the 26th.
Ah, okay.
Sorry. Yep, that's a Saturday. It is the actual anniversary date of the passage of the ADA.
Yes.
So we're trying as best we can to hold that celebration on the actual date that it was passed into law. So it is on a Saturday afternoon from noon to 5. It's just kind of open house style, so you're free to come and go throughout that anytime during that time frame that is workable for you.
And this is year 35?
This is year 35, so
Five.
Right.
a Hallmark card kind of year.
There we go. Absolutely. So yes, Rob, hopefully that clarifies. So July 26th,
Yes,
1 to 5,
noon to 5. Yes,
or noon to 5, pardon me.
yeah, noon to 5, Saturday, July 26th.
All righty.
Yeah, that's a little bit earlier than it has been because usually on weekdays it's later. So
Yeah,
That-
it's just
that
it's a
might
slightly
be-
different time frame because we're optimistic that most folks, not as many folks have to work on a Saturday, hopefully, and more folks would be able to join us in those early to mid-afternoon hours than an evening event. So, and because we don't want you to give up your Saturday evening if you want to attend other events in the community or whatnot. So,
All right. Well, thank you so much. And thank you to you, Andrea, and to all of your staff at the Disability Network, Washtenaw, Monroe, Livingston. Do you mind if I ask, how did the Nothing About Us Without Us Film Festival go?
I was not able to get away to attend, but from everything I heard, it went really, really well. So
Good.
another good, successful year from
Good.
everybody who did go and participated. So, yeah, and I imagine we will look to continue that again next spring as well.
Awesome. Wonderful. Thank you so much.
And unfortunately, I don't know anything. I don't have additional details about the collaboration with the library and our organization. That was not on my radar yet today either. So I apologize for not being able to shed any additional light on that. Perhaps I can, if Katie doesn't have any more information, or I can look into getting some more of that for next month's meeting.
Sure. Yeah. Thank you, Andrea. I just think it's great what you're doing with them and collaborating for that May 5th event. And, I was just wondering, so no,
Yeah.
but thank you. Yeah. All right.
Thank you. Thanks.
Awesome. Next, we have the Partners and Access Committee report with Vice Chairman Larry Keeler. Larry?
Yep, I'm looking at it right now. Here we are. We had our meeting, and it was a productive discussion. We had at least 4 of us there. Commissioner Achenbauer and Commissioner Packard and Commissioner Mozak were there. So that was pretty good. We had a good meeting there, and some of the things we discussed were we talked about the Easter Seals film challenge. I forget when that was, but we had mentioned it, and for some reason I thought it went with the about nothing about us without us, but I think Commissioner Packard can enlighten us more on that if he'd like. And then we were talking about concerns about how long it was taking for green card renewal, and the need for garbage cans at bus stops, and we took that up. We took that to AAATA and got some answers on that, and some of the issues seem to have been solved, at least for the moment. And then I brought up a concern I had, and it's kind of a funny story about the thrown bathrooms. And the thrown bathrooms are a very accessible bathroom that they're putting in with very nice, very accessible bathrooms. The problem is, one, you have to have your phone to get in, and you have to know how to use a what's that? What you use for the signs? A code that you flash back at it. I couldn't remember the name right offhand, but you have to use a code to get in, barcode. And then when you get in, there's a voice in there that's really quiet. When I was in there, I found everything in there that I needed to find. It took me a couple minutes in there. Went to go out, and I couldn't get out because I missed the instructions on where to tap the door to get out. And I knew it would open in 10 minutes. My friend that I was with was looking at me and laughing at me because I was trying to figure out how to get out. And then she actually tried to figure out how to get me out, but it said, "Oh no, the bathroom's in use." So I had to wait for 10 minutes to come out. She told me I need instructions to use that thing. I'm like, instructions to use the bathroom? Who needs that? So no, I think it needs to be, maybe we could pick up cards to get in there easier to flash, and there might need to be a little bit more, maybe the voice in there, at least at the beginning, could be a slight bit louder so we could pick up the instruction on how to get out of there. But otherwise it was fine. They were accessible. There was good ramp, all kinds of stuff, but that how to get out might need to be in and out might need to be addressed. And then we also discussed, somebody had brought up a pathway, a citizen had brought up a pathway from, I believe they wanted to go from bushes into the bushes to their complex. And we weren't sure, the bushes out on Main Street into their complex, and we're not sure if that technically comes under us or private property. And then finally, we were talking about the social media. Commissioner Achenbauer mentioned the social media thing that and I mentioned that, at least as far as I knew, we were forming a committee to take care of the social media issues, the Facebook pages and all that. And that's where we left the meeting.
Thank you, Larry. And, I want to, first of all, just publicly apologize to the full commission on, my lack of follow-up for the social media committee. And with that, I would like to just see if there's any commissioner that is interested in sort of taking a lead on that and reaching out to Commissioner Chambers, Commissioner Packard, and then I think there was one other commissioner as well as myself who wanted to kind
Commissioner Ankenbauer.
Thank you. So yeah, Ankenbauer as well. But I was hoping that we could have a commissioner who would be willing to kind of take the lead on this and reach out to sort of include in an email with all those interested, kind of starting that process. Would any commissioner be interested in that?
I will volunteer for that, since I know that we've been talking about it for a while now. I think, and I'm happy to do this in collaboration with anyone else who's interested in being a lead with me. Obviously, it's all a group effort, and I think what we really need to do is schedule a session, an in-person group session with to get it formulated.
Yeah.
So if there's anyone else who's interested, whether it's here or later after the meeting, it would be great to find a time and just sit down, whether it's at maybe a library or wherever is convenient. I think we need to. It's one of those things where I think we'll get more accomplished if we can meet in person somewhere.
Gotcha. Yeah, Commissioner Packard, thank you so much for your willingness to sort of take the lead on social media informing that committee. Please include me on that as well. I definitely want to be involved. I just haven't had the capacity to obviously lead those efforts and wanted to be completely transparent with all of you on that. So, yeah, thank you. If you have any questions, Rob, on who else would like to be involved, just let me know. And I can give you, those who are interested.
Okay.
And to send an email out to, and then, yeah, we can go from there.
Yeah, I think it can be, obviously, it's, to me, all upside. It's the more we can allow accessibility to the public to everything we're talking about here, the better. I think it could be pretty powerful tool for people to come forward with any of their concerns, or even more so a way to promote positive things going on and show all the great advancements that we're having. Even the events that we're talking about today, we could be promoting it on a Facebook, Instagram. I mean, one question I think is, would it be Facebook, Instagram, or both? And I guess that's part of the process from here forward. But
Yeah, I mean, that's a good question. I think we said we wanted to start with Facebook, and then I definitely like Instagram, and I think that's a worthy platform as well. But I mean, I want to be able to give the opportunity for everyone to give their input before we decide, all right, yeah, we're going to create a Facebook account and we're going to create an Instagram and go from there. Because we also have to determine the processes of when we take photos or when we have an event, where do those images go, and then who's responsible for posting and drafting accessible descriptions and stuff.
mhm.
Right.
Instagram and Facebook, from my understanding, is linkable, so it can just be linked together, so it wouldn't be too much of an additional burden
Yeah,
to
that's
just have a
great.
joint.
Okay.
So,
Well, cool, Rob. Yeah, please follow up with me, and then we can, you know, uh, get that moving finally. And
okay.
again, for the record, I do apologize, in the lag on that, but hopefully we can get it moving. All right. Anything else from Partners in Access? All right, moving on to the community engagement report. Is Commissioner Hawkins on?
She is not.
Okay. I know that she did say that she was gonna run late, so
Yes.
No worries. Okay. All right. Well, Larry, don't go anywhere because we
I'm,
need.
I'm still sitting here.
There you go.
I'm nice and comfortable.
Yeah, we need you to give your recruiting activity report.
The recruiting activity, nothing.
Okay.
No report. I've heard nothing. No.
All right.
No anything so far.
Okay. And then we also need you, Larry, to give the Transportation Commission update, if you will.
Updates. Starting with the meeting at the meeting on the 19th of March. And in public comment, there was, they commented on the Miller, there's some construction going on Miller down around 7th in that general area just before you get to 7th and down towards downtown. And they're putting a cycle track in for bicycles, but there's negative response to that. And there was also a comment about ignoring vegetation limits because of, the vegetation is supposed to be cut back so that people can see easier in the roads. And then there's also a couple of crashes on there, and there was a couple of crashes on Packard too, and there were complaints about the new sidewalks going in to schools. And there's a multi-lane project going on, and there's a few of those going on, and there's some timing control evaluations, and they're evaluating all this stuff for to figure out how to put in roads, how to decrease speed, increase safety. And Fifth Avenue projects, I know they've started already. There's some Fifth Avenue projects south of William. And some of them are going to be up to 3 years. That's up to a 3-year project going from William down to Madison. And I have here, and there's some dispute, but it seems like they're going to eliminate the southbound lane. And they're going to make a parking lane down there. And as a note, I noticed, because I've had a big issue with people zinging down the sidewalks on bicycles, and technically it is legal to do that. I didn't realize that it's legal to cycle on the sidewalk, and some of the well, a few weeks ago, I had to move from somebody who must have been, I heard this motor going about 40 miles an hour down the sidewalk. And just out of safety's sake, I didn't know if they'd come too fast. I jumped off the sidewalk. I wasn't aware it was actually still legal to do that.
Well, that must have been scary, Larry.
Well, well, unfortunately, I'm kind of used to paying attention to that, but I could see where somebody could get caught very quickly.
Commissioner
Okay,
Sullivan,
and
I think you're muted.
I just had a question for Larry when he's finished with his report.
Okay, go ahead, Larry.
okay. And then some of the we discussed about 2026 objectives, and there were several data collection concerns with, and there were some of us biking and encouraging the public to take the public transportation. And then they talked about addressing snowfall removal, getting it to be a little better for snow removal, and finishing up sidewalk gaps. Okay, then the other one from the 16th of April, 2025. Public comment. There was concern about street lights in some areas not working, and more line of sight issues where there's things, obstructions that are dealing with lines of sight, and one that gets me is one that I'd like to see is that there's some concern where they're trying to make curbless streets, and they got to. We'd like it more, or at least I certainly would like it more definable, the edge between street and curb, and that was in public comment, but I totally agree with that last one. And then we talked about, we made our policy agenda, which actually needs more time to get, so we didn't pass that yet. And then we had a budget thing where we got $639 million, and that was for all the roads in Michigan and everything else. And then it breaks down to Ann Arbor getting so much for different types of repairs and maintenance. And then we had our update on streets, streets and projects. And we have, what is this? Some kind of, some kind of machine, but I'll have to update that one later. And they're want to put in more bike lanes, Ventrac construction, and then updates. The last one where they're building a roundabout on Nixon Road in particular, and then there's going to be some work on Glen near the hospital, which has already started. And the last one is, I know that's been started. It's going to be going for several months, and I actually know something about this one. The Pauline from Maine to 7th is being redone, the resurfaced, and the pipelines underneath are being fixed, and so that's going to be down till at least August. But the bus goes down Madison, so you can still, it's bus that's on detour, and that's it. That's a lot of reports, and there'll be no report next month since the next transportation meeting is on the 21st after our meeting. And that's it.
All right, Larry. Well, thank you. And Commissioner Solomon, you have a question, comment?
Yeah, Larry, thank you for that extremely detailed report. So early in your report, you mentioned that in public comment, there was some pushback or objection to bike tracks. Later in your report, you mentioned, bike lanes again coming up. And since we know that to be not always a disability-friendly sort of affordance, can you talk a little bit more to your recollection what that public comment was in opposition to bike lanes?
I think that public comment was, at least right now, they want to build bike lanes. The bike lanes they're building, they're not putting enough definition. For one thing, they're not putting enough definition between the bike lane and the actual street. And the other issues, I think, are with the view obstruction too. That's also affecting the bike lanes, and there is some objection in especially the Miller area. There's some objection because some of them just don't want them. They think that some of them just don't want them.
What was the reason given?
Well, some of the people seem to think that it's unsafe to have the bike lanes and the traffic at very busy places to be together where they're too close to sidewalks and everything. I think it has to do more with safety issues. They think that there's got to be a lot of better definition between the bike lanes and the streets and for the streets and the pedestrian, the bike lanes and the pedestrians as well. It's very difficult to cross at some of those things when you have to, especially, well, from my point of view, at least, it's very difficult to cross at an intersection where you have a busy street and a busy bike lane. From my experience, that's very difficult because you got to not only listen to cars, which are generally fairly loud anyway, and then bicycles who are fairly quiet. And when they're both going, that's my objection anyway.
Yeah, I'm grateful
But
that you were
I
there
don't.
to register some of these concerns. I think that's a committee where we need to have a strong presence.
I would agree. I would agree because some of the things that because of course you know that I'm really agitating for them not to ride for bicycles not to ride on the sidewalk. So I do in general like the bike lanes, but in busy sections it's very difficult to distinguish bike and car, and it's also my experience that it seems to be that when the light changes or when traffic stops because there's a red light, that very often I listen to the traffic when I cross because I can't see it. I listen and I try to listen very carefully. So far I'm still around and I'm 60, so I've been doing it decent enough. But it's been my experience a lot of times bicycles don't pay attention to the red light. And I'll be on the curb and I'll be getting ready to cross. I'll say, zoom, and I have to wait. And I might have to wait too long and have to wait for the next light. So that's some of my biggest.
These are all like very real concerns, and I'm a little disappointed that our city representative isn't here to at least be aware of these concerns moving forward.
Oh, she'll be aware.
Yeah, I'm glad you're flagging these things because it seems to me that also news to me that bicyclists are free to ride on city sidewalks. They somehow don't seem to be subject to the same rules of the road as automobiles. So there's a lot of confusion, and I think there's a lot of hazards, frankly.
I would very seriously agree with that.
Well, thank you, gentlemen. I do appreciate, the discourse here, and I think, there's some interesting points that are raised. So I can definitely, communicate them to our council liaison if desired.
Kennedy, can we make sure those are reflected in the minutes as well?
Which one?
Just that concerns were expressed around some of the issues which Commissioner Keeler brought up that might be worth
The
circling back
bicycle
to.
lanes? Okay.
Correct.
No problem.
Yeah, that might be worth circling back at some point as a new business item.
Yep.
I'm here. I'll be there.
No, well, thank you, Matthew. I appreciate you bringing that to our attention, and thank you, Larry Keeler, as well.
Mentioning Larry, the whether bicycles are allowed on sidewalks, would be nice to get clarity on whether they are or whether it's being enforced here in Ann Arbor. I did have a bicyclist who kind of racing through on the sidewalk is kind of shouting, yelling that I was walking on the sidewalk with my guide dog to yell at me to get out of the way as he rolled through. But I mean, there's always going to be someone who does something. But I am curious whether I guess I always thought that bicycles were not. But that'd be nice to get some clarity on that. Thank you.
I'll do that because I was very unclear about that too, and I still am. And there's supposed to be and I hear there's supposed to be a speed limit on that too, but obviously the cyclists don't seem to pay attention to that much. I've got about 40 bike stories I could tell, so we won't go there today.
No, indeed, we will not. But thank you all for, again, bringing this to the forefront. And we'll make sure that this is in the minutes and that that we address it in the future. Thank you. And thank you, Larry, for all of your help on the Transportation Commission. Next, we have the University of Michigan Council for Disability Concerns meeting update with Commissioner Matthew Solomon. Matthew, the floor is yours.
So I'll be reporting on the April 8th meeting of the CFDC, in which there were really only 2 items of business. The first of those items was a call for recruitment for volunteers to serve on the Newbacker Award Committee. So they're accepting volunteers and are seeking hopefully a robust pool to participate in this award, which involved last year more than 100 nominations, of which our own council member was the winner, as we recall. The other part of the meeting was dedicated to an open discussion of DEI, which, as many of you probably are already aware, was summarily discontinued at the University of Michigan. And so there was a kind of open discussion with the major question of where does disability fit in this, some might call it an attack on DEI. What is the future of disability rights and disability justice in the new environment that exists federally, that has major implications for the research community, for the medical community, for the student body, for the faculty, for the staff? So that became an open discussion. Various viewpoints were expressed. I think there wasn't a ton of discussion because it didn't feel like necessarily everybody felt comfortable speaking, but there's a level of concern, certainly at the University of Michigan disability community, about what the future looks like under some pretty aggressive executive orders, et cetera, that have targeted certain words. And disability seems to be one of those words that that is a trigger for some efforts. So I'll kind of leave it at that. I can share the notes, a link to the notes that were fairly detailed, that were taken by the secretary of the CFDC, captured some elements of that discussion. I'd be happy to make those available in a link form to anyone who's interested.
Yeah, if you could actually send that to me, I can send that out to the commission. Perfect. Chair Damon?
Yes, thank you. And Matthew, thank you for that detailed report of the April meeting of the Council for Disability Concerns at the University of Michigan. And thank you for sitting on that council and for all the work that you're doing there. First of all, if you don't mind, could you forward me that candidate, that committee outreach for the Newbacker Award? I would love to be able to send that to our full commission to be able to get some other commissioners an opportunity to sit on the Newbacker Award Committee if they so choose. You guys, it is a great process, and you know, I've sat on the committee, and it is well worth it because this is a very storied award, very storied accomplishment, and I believe that the nominations that come in, I mean, you know, to be a team player, all of them are deserving. But what makes it even more of an esteemed award is that it's, a very, very selective process. But I would love for us to be involved with that. And then finally, Matthew, on your comments of kind of the swift action that has been taken, I want to just say that I am here, and my heart goes out to you and the University of Michigan and your staff and the university for what it's going through at this time. So, if there's anything that commissioners can do to help the CFDC or help, the university community, please don't hesitate to reach out.
Well, I mean, I think part of what our obligation to the community is to continue to be a squeaky wheel and to not get run over by efforts to streamline, modernize, budget cut. And so that would be my thought. What can we as a commission do not to be an afterthought, a rubber stamp, but actually an integral part of this process where our input is solicited actively and our concerns are addressed in meaningful ways rather than as an afterthought.
Yeah, absolutely. This is Chair Damon. I just want to echo that I agree. I think that there are some ways in which the commission can do that. And it starts with just public awareness, right? Being at the events that are in our community, whether that's the ADA celebration, whether that's events with the Ann Arbor District Library, and whether that's events at Disability Network, Washington Monroe Livingston. And I know that we are all working professionals in addition to our public service here. But I think being present and being boots on the ground and interacting with individuals that we come across who are also in our community that have disabilities and saying, hey, this is what we're doing. How can we help you? I think that is a big difference. And so, but I agree with you, Matthew, wholeheartedly.
I had a question. This is Commissioner Conrad. I had a question whether there was any discussion at the recent CFDC meetings about President Ono's, one of his latest announcements was around kind of restructuring and investing in access and opportunity. And in that email, he specifically named support for people with disabilities, faculty with disabilities through an LSA Disability Navigators program, and support for students with disabilities. And I was honestly very surprised to see that. And I have no context for how that came up, but I wondered if that was part of the discussion.
I'm going to look back through my emails, but I want to say that announcement came a few days after the meeting. I'm not 100% confident of that, but I think when that meeting was going on, that announcement had not been made. But if I'm mistaken, I'm going to double check the notes, which I'll also make available to the other members of the committee once I forward them to Zach and to Kennedy. I'm just scanning them to see if there's any discussion of that. I don't see it, so my hunch is that it was that announcement from the president came some days later. I do recall some questions raised about how swiftly and irrevocably DEI had been erased, at least at that time.
Yeah, and to the point of, thinking about connections and representation, there is a provost advisory committee, faculty advisory committee on disability. And Aisha Ghazi Edwin is on that committee as a faculty member. So that's just a point of connection to think about.
Do you know where they're an open call? I understood that to be sort of by appointment only. It seems like a very important body to be on, and it had been discussed in CFDC, but it was unclear to me how one, ascended to that particular advisory group? Was it, by selection only, by election, or how was that chosen? Do you have any idea?
I have the same questions as you. Yeah, no, I don't know.
Unfortunately, Commissioner Ghazi Edwin is not here. She would likely be able to answer those questions directly. Let's bring it up again. I think it's worth asking about.
Yeah, this is Zach. I agree, and I hope that this can also be something that we bring up to council member when they attend. So thank you.
Is
And Kenny,
anyone,
if you wouldn't mind just putting that in the minutes too, just as a reminder to all of us to try and query that issue, because Commissioner Ghazi Edwin, as Commissioner Conrad points out, is a direct link to this, fairly high-ranking advisory body.
So you want to add that in the minutes that she's on the committee for this advisory, or you want to add in there that you guys will have a discussion about this at the next meeting? Or
Well,
both?
we'd just like to know a little bit more about that advisory committee,
Okay.
because it was discussed at CFDC, but nobody on that commission seemed to have any clarity other than the fact that they were glad to see their representation was going to happen, but the mechanics of the committee were never made known to
Gotcha.
us.
Okay, I will
Thank-
add on there that the commission is interested in learning more about the advisory commission from Councilmember Garcia.
Very good. Thank you so much.
just wanted to add, if I might, I heard something on the news and I just looked this up, National DEI Defense Coalition. I don't know if anyone's familiar with that.
This is Chair Damon. Commissioner Packard, I'm not aware of that.
Oh, okay. I can forward that if you wanted to see if it's anything that might help in the process.
Sure, if you can forward that to myself and CC Kennedy, we can take a look at it. And if we believe that it's valuable, I think we could forward it to the full commission.
Okay, thank you.
In answer to Commissioner Conrad's question, it looks like the email from President Ono is dated April the 22nd. So that would have fallen 2 weeks after the meeting of the CFDC. It may come up at the next meeting. I would expect it would. And just for everybody's information, those meetings are completely open to anyone in the community. They're accessible on Zoom. Commissioner Mozak is often there as well. So I'm glad that got brought up and just wanted to just make it known that anybody in the community can take part in those meetings by Zoom if they wish.
Point of clarification, what was the name of the advisory board or committee that Councilmember Garcia was on? Do you know the name?
So it's, I believe, something along the lines of a Provost Disability Advisory Committee. I don't know if that's the exact name of it, but it was
Do you just want
formed
me to
sometime.
put, do you just want me to put advisory committee?
I think it has the name Provost in it.
Okay.
So it has something to do with Provost Disability Advisory.
Okay, I'll try to look the name up as well. Thank you.
All right, thank you all. Anything else on the Council for Disability Concerns at this time? All right. Well, we have gotten to the chair report here, and one of the things that I would like to just mention is that there is a big event coming up on May 8th, and it's the Michigan Department of Civil Rights Disability Summit. That's going to be in Novi, May 8th at the Suburban Collection Showplace. I did send out some information on that, and I hope that some commissioners can attend. I forgot if it's also in person or virtual, but I will be attending in person, and I will be attending some of the workshops as well. But I think, this is a very beneficial event for all of us in the disability community to remain active and have our minds on the forefront of the hot button issues within the disability community, not just across the city, but across the state and across the nation. So I'm excited to report that. And then also, hope that all of you can join us again in June for Visions. I will be following up with our commission just to make sure that we have all of the materials that we need this year for the table. One of the things I wanted to double check from Kennedy is if we could, have. I was trying to remember if they provided us with a tablecloth or if we brought one last year, but I couldn't.
One is usually provided to you all at the event.
Oh, okay, never mind. So then we should be good. But I think technically we have some giveaways that we give away, like some candy and stuff like that. So if there are any commissioners out there who are willing to contribute to that and purchase some goodies that we can pass out, one of the things that I've noticed is that in information tables, if we do have candy that we're able to pass out, that entices them to stop and look at our information. And then I also want to make sure too that with Kennedy that we have adequate flyers as well that we can print with current information so that we're good to go there. And I can also we have our business cards and things of that sort, so I can bring those along. But that is my chair report at this time. I'll have more in May. All righty. Let's see. 1 second. All right. I believe we're on to old business. Is there any old business?
Currently, at this time, we have no old business on the agenda. Is there any commissioner present with any old business? Please raise your hand. Seeing none, we have no old business.
All right. Thank you, Kennedy. Do we have any new business?
At this time, currently, we have no new business listed on the agenda. Is there any current commissioner present that has any new business for today? Seeing none, we have no new business.
All right. Thank you. No new business. Any communications?
Currently, at this time, we have no communications listed on our agenda. Is there any current commissioner present that would like to share any communications at this time?
Actually, something I'm circling back that Larry mentioned earlier that just wanted to give a plug for Zach doing a great job directing with the Easter Seals Disability Film Challenge, and that was mentioned earlier, and it was a great project, great leadership, and we have a video that's circulating that was a result of a group of us coming together to participate in this challenge, and looking forward to more advancements and more great things to come on the project that was put together, and appreciate everyone that, Zach and inviting and everything that went on with that. It was a great project.
Thank you, Rob. Yes, to clarify everybody, so I was asked by a media colleague of mine to direct a short that they had written and produced for the Easter Seals Disability Film Challenge. And so that is what Rob is alluding to. And so the theme this year was suspense and thriller. And so we directed a, suspenseful horror thriller that was like 5.5 minutes. And the catch to that is, which is really neat, is that the talent in front of the camera as well as the talent behind the camera needed to have a disability. And so both actors in that short had disabilities, and then myself directed the film. And Rob was a great part of the crew, did a little bit of cinematography, and some of his shots can be seen in the short. And we did have a really nice review that was also written up for us as well, which is very surprising, and I was very grateful for that. So thank you, Rob. Yeah, and thank you, Matthew. Yes, Matthew is the esteemed film guy. I'm just a director. He's important. So thank you all. I appreciate it. All right. Any other communications? Okay. At this time, it is now 5:29 on April 30th. Is there a movement to adjourn?
This is Kathleen. I'll move to adjourn.
All right. I will second. All in favor of adjourning on April 30th at 5:29, please unmute and say aye.
Hi.
Aye. All right, everybody. Meeting is adjourned. I want to thank everybody, and for the viewers at home, I had to turn my camera on because my camera off because my connection was unstable. But I want to thank the Community Television Network, the City of Ann Arbor, and everyone for their time. Thank you so much, and we'll see you guys next month. Thank you.